We are at Thirlmere on Sunday, April 3rd, 2016, and we see 4803 doing shuttle journeys between here to Buxton. 2705 was usually the locomotive that hauled the shuttle trips, but due to mechanical faults, the locomotive is now out of commission until what needs to be carried out for repairs. Museum of Applied Arts and Sciences 3265 was the replacement locomotive, but it too needed repair works, and so, due to fleet constraints, 4803 was called. We now see the diesel locomotive departing Thirlmere on its second last run to Buxton. "4803 was first built by A.E. Goodwin in Sydney, New South Wales in 1959. The 48 class diesel locomotives were ordered to commence the conversion of branch lines to diesel traction. They even operated on the main line as well. Aside from a couple that were written off after accidents in the middle of the 1980s, withdrawal for the locomotives weren't commenced until 1994. 4803 was one of the locomotives that retired that year on September 28, 1994, but was saved and is now preserved by Trainworks at Thirlmere. But to this day, only 66 of the 48 class diesel locomotives remained in service with Pacific National, Grain Corp, Green Trains, Juni Railway Workshop, and Railcorp. The time has come now to see 4803 departing Thirlmere on its last shuttle journey. We now conclude with 4803 pulling into its final destination, Buxton. During our time at the Hunter Valley Steamfest in Maitland on Sunday, April 10th, 2016, we take a visit to the Richmond Vale Railway Museum in Kurri Kurri. Here we see the former administration office, which is now a museum focusing on the colliery's history with some old mining equipment. The former colliery was the largest shaft mine in the Southern Hemisphere. The decline for Richmond, Maine started during the economic collapse in 1929, famously known as the Great Depression. 38 years later, the colliery ended its working life on July 7th, 1967. The power station, though, was still in operation for the mines at Palour, Maine, until it was also ceased in 1976. Fortunately, the museum managed to preserve it. The Richmond Vale Railway line was opened for operation in 1905 by J&A Brown, a privately owned Australian coal family firm by James Brown. But with the closure of the colliery at Richmond, the only left section of track is between Hexham to Stockrington, until the line was officially closed on September 27, 1987, with the last coal train running to Hexham. It had the distinction of being the last non-preserved steam-hauled train in Australia. There was, however, a limited use of diesel on the line in 1984. In 1991, the museum reopened the direct passenger line. The idea of a passenger run came about in 1922 to increase capacity at the Palour, Maine to Richmond Vale Junction, hauling miners. It then ceased in April 1959 after several accidents. The line was still in use until the closure in 1987. This tank engine was built at Granville in 1938. It worked in Newcastle until it was retired in 1972 and was plinthed in a park at Edgeworth. The museum bought the locomotive, and the loco was back in steam in 1986. The tank engine will now be uncoupled from the brakeman and be making its way to the water tower to collect some more water. Sunday, May 1st, saw the commencement of Train Works' Day Out with Thomas event in 2016. And at the Thirlmere Banks, we see 3642 dressed up as Henry making its way back from Picton from one of the sold-out shuttle journeys. Later on, we see 4803 hauling the train from Thelmere on the forward trip to Picton. Then we see Henry on his return journey. To conclude the day, we see Henry pulling into the station once again. Saturday, May 28, 2016 saw Lachlan Valley Railway's 5917 on a rail tour to Robertson on the Highland Picnic train. As it comes to the colder months in Australia, white smoke is visible from the steam locomotive. The loco and its train are seen at Beverly Hills.
The next train to arrive on platform 2 goes to Reedsby. First stop, Narwee, then Riverwood, Padstow and Reedsby.
Next, we see the locomotive charging through Menangle. After being held up at Picton, 5917 is now seen coming through Bargo. Then through Mittagong. As we near Robertson, which is the locomotive's destination, we now see 5917 charging through the countryside. We will now conclude this journey with 5917 pulling into Robertson. The locomotive is seen at the level crossing just outside of the station. The next day, Sunday, May 29th, 2016, saw 5917 heading through Heathcote, pulling the Kiama Picnic train to, where else? Kiama. This is where we'll conclude Rail Around New South Wales for June 2016.